certainly has everything. The Baltimore Colts have 3 times consecutively been the AFC Eastern Division champions, with receptions by Lydell Mitchell like that, and the throwing, of course, by Bert Jones, and runs by Lydell Mitchell like that. He gained over 1,100 yards last year, but now Lydell Mitchell is with the San Diego Chargers, and Bert Jones was struck down by injury in the final preseason game on this very play. Smothered by the pass rush, he suffered a separated shoulder. So the Colts appear to be in disarray. I asked Coach Ted Marchibroda about it. Teddy, Monday Night Football begins tonight. The Colts have the unhappy task of facing the Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys without the injured Bert Jones and without the departed Lydell Mitchell. Thus, it's been said your team is in chaos. True or not true?
Well, definitely not true, Howard. I'm with my ball club every day, and we've had an excellent week of practice in preparing for Dallas, and I feel our ball club is ready to play tonight.
Mitchell left under frankly ugly circumstances. He had charged the management with racism. Was there anything to that charge as far as you're concerned?
Nothing as far as I'm concerned, Howard, because, as I said, our ball club, in the 3 years I've been here, we've played extremely well. They have done the job week in and week out, and that's exactly the way that they've practiced this year, and I'm sure that they're going to do the same thing this coming season.
Tonight you must rely on a young quarterback named Kirkland. Is it remotely possible that he can do the job?
Howard, this week in practice, I've been extremely pleased with Mike. It's Mike's first start ever in the National Football League, but he's picked up things and done things much better than what I had anticipated in practice, so I'm hopeful this will carry over into the ball game.
So you think you can give him a good game and maybe even win it?
Howard, I've judged my ball club on the way they've practiced during the week, and we've had an excellent practice session, so that's my feeling going into the game.
Ted Marchibroda on the Baltimore Colts, who go against the Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys tonight. Monday Night Football is back.
Live from Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas, the season premiere of ABC's NFL Monday Night Football. The AFC Eastern Division champion Baltimore Colts against the Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys.
Hello again, everyone. It's so good to be back for this, the 9th year, believe it or not, of Monday Night Football. And, of course, Teddy Marchibroda probably set our storyline for the evening. We'll get to that in a moment. I just want to say that we think we've got the greatest year yet of Monday Night Football, and it's not an on-air promotion. Let me explain why. An expanded season, 16 Monday night games, 4 specials, 3 Sunday night games, 1 Thursday night games that have matchups like these. Pittsburgh at Los Angeles, Denver in a reprise at Oakland, and New England at Oakland, and that's bound to be a stormy one. About tonight and Teddy Marchibroda setting the storyline, well, we've established it for you. The Colts, despite Teddy's disclaimers, appear to be in total disarray. They've lost 5,000 yards in a single season. 11 men with the Colts a year ago gone. Lydell Mitchell, Raymond Chester, and others. Frank will enumerate more even on that. And so, what looked to be the richest kind of opening game may not be that because of the absence of Bert Jones. We had an augury yesterday, perhaps. The Jets beating Miami, smothering them because of the absence of the great quarterback Greasy, taking nothing away from the excellence of the Jets, and Kansas City beating Cincinnati because of and taking nothing away from Marvin Levy's great effort with his team, taking nothing away from Kansas City. The absence of Kenny Anderson contributed. A further problem, Dallas hasn't lost an opening day game since 1964. They lost that game with a quarterback who is back where he belongs. Dandy Don Meredith.
Absolutely. Against St. Louis as well as right. It was an ease into the whole season. We're going to set him up for it. Something like Marchibroda actually hasn't lost an opening day game since he's been with Baltimore. This is his 4th season. But he may be in for it tonight because this is the first time, as long as I've known Tom Landry, that he sits there and he say, Tom, what's wrong? And he has to think a while before he can come up with something because there ain't not much wrong down here right now. They've got it really pretty well together, at least as good as they were last year at Super Bowl champs, and maybe a little bit better. 4 rookies make the team. So I think that the Cowboys, they're off to a good start. They've had a fairly good preseason. He has said, well, we haven't run as well as I'd like. Well, he's going to get a shot to do that tonight. Baltimore last year was 25th out of 28 teams against the run, so I imagine we'll see Dallas run a little bit tonight. Thing I'm pleased with that Tom, in my opinion, after 2 Super Bowls and a great career down here, has now moved himself into position to become a legend. Now, to really be a legend, you got to have a one-liner, something like I shall return, or I never met a man I didn't like, or, well, I don't know, winning is everything. Well, Tom has come up with it. Tom's line to be a legend is, you can't smile and think at the same time. Now, I think that's going to do it, Frank. What do you think? That's where I missed the whole thing, man. I was smiling too much.
Welcome back, Don, and they still love you in Dallas. They were crawling all over him coming into Texas Stadium tonight. Good to have you back, partner. Good to be back with you.
Thank you.
Howard, and Baltimore, I'm sure they don't feel it's too good to be here because they're in a whole lot of trouble. Howard mentioned some of the players. Lydell Mitchell gone. Burt Jones injured, out for who knows how long. Bill Troop is backup quarterback out. And they're starting a youngster named Mike Kirkland. Now, Mike Kirkland, if you haven't heard of him, don't feel bad because I hadn't heard of him much either coming into tonight. He's a 3-year man out of Arkansas. He was 6 out of 24 in preseason, has never thrown a regular NFL pass. And to complicate matters, David Taylor, the regular left tackle for the Baltimore Colts, he's out of that lineup too, maybe for the season with a broken ankle. And he has a substitute in there tonight from Mississippi, a 2-year man. And Wade Griffin is going to really get initiated tonight because he's up against Harvey Martin. And Harvey Martin, you might remember, they call him a manster or something down here, but he led the NFL in quarterback sacks, so Griffin's going to be in a problem. And if he has a problem, well, young Mike Kirkland has got a major problem tonight. A lot of trouble for the Baltimore Colts, but many times we've seen teams come back against adversity and play great football. We hope so, frankly. We'll be back with the kickoff. There's a sellout crowd, a late sellout crowd here in Texas Stadium, Irving, Texas. The Baltimore Colts against the Dallas Cowboys, a game that we anticipated would be a tremendous football game. They played 30-27 2 years ago in a great battle between Roger Staubach, their quarterback, Burt Jones. And, of course, we've already told you the players that are missing for the Baltimore Colts. Lydell Mitchell, a multiple 1,000-yard gainer over the past 3 years. Burt Jones out with the separation for they don't know how long. Bill Troop, his backup, is also out with a shoulder injury. And this man is healthy, and this man, healthy, is quite a quarterback. He had a tremendous year last year. He's had a tremendous preseason, and he is looking to get off to a good start tonight. Dallas has won the toss. There are the 2 men dropping deep. Number 86 is Butch Johnson. Dennis Thurman, a rookie from the University of Southern California, is back there, number 32. And set to kick off for Baltimore is Tony Lenhart. A lot of excitement here in Dallas. The Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys, looking for an unprecedented 3rd Super Bowl, are kicking off their season right now. It will be Butch Johnson from his own end zone. And Johnson barrels out to the 20-yard line, coughs it up.
And Baltimore's got it.
And Baltimore appears to have recovered. Baltimore hustling down there was number 86. That's the number 1 draft pick, Reese McCall, and Baltimore's in good position. Look at it again. Butch Johnson had to make a decision. He took it out. He carried it loosely, bobbled it, and Reese McCall, the number 1 pick, makes the recovery for Baltimore.
Johnson is so eager to make good that he made a mistake. You don't run a ball back from the end zone unless you're absolutely certain in your own mind you can get past that 20. But Butch has lost his job to the sensational Tony Hill, so he was over-eager.
You saw the lineup, the key player, Mike Kirkland, 3rd-year man out of Arkansas. This will be his first snap ever in an NFL game. Quick handoff, and it goes to Roosevelt Leaks, the 4-year veteran out of Texas. And Leaks gets about 2 or 3 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Defensively, and their familiar names to all you football fans, across that front 4 for the Dallas Cowboys, Harvey Martin, Randy White, Jethro Pugh, Ed Jones, the linebackers. In the middle, Bob Brunig, the key spot for Tom Landry and his defense. Outside linebackers, a sensational athlete is number 56, Tom Henderson. D.D. Lewis is the weak side linebacker. 2nd down and 7. The ball at the 21-yard line. You saw the defensive secondary. And McCauley is met hard. Number 79, Harvey Martin, D.D. Lewis, reading the run, closed it down, no gain, maybe a foot, it'll be 3rd and long.
It's a whole new thing for Don McCauley, the Long Island boy, who was the number 1 draft choice of the Baltimore Colts 9 years ago, or 8 years ago. He's the spot man, short yardage guy, but now, would you believe he's not only in there as a regular running back, but he's a fine player, but he could be another Tom Maddox. If Kirkland gets hurt, McCauley becomes the quarterback.
Kirkland passing down. Out to the right is Dowdy, 35. Roger Carr to the left. Between them, they've got 5 passes in preseason. They haven't played that much or that well. Draw play. Foul play to Roosevelt Leaks, far short of the first down. And Baltimore playing it very conservative, as you might suspect, with a quarterback, basically a rookie who's never seen NFL action. Now Tony Linhart, fourth down and 5, the ball resting at the 20-yard line.
Good observation, Frank. Obviously, it's Marcia Broda's game plan to play very conservatively with the young quarterback, try and rely on his defense to hang in the game, and seize whatever breaks they can get. Linhart about to kick, and as you know, Dandy, he has not had a good preseason.
He hasn't, and I don't really agree with that philosophy of playing it that conservative, but we can talk about that in a little while, too.
Linhart. No good.
Oh, boy.
Tony Linhart off a big year. Misses a chip shot from 30 yards out. It remains scoreless. We'll be back at a loud, noisy Texas Stadium right after this. The Cowboys offensive unit on the field. A 30-yard miss by Tony Linhart, the Pro Bowl kicker last year. There is the offensive unit. Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett, Robert Newhouse back there. Wide receivers, Drew Pearson, Tony Hill, who has apparently beaten out Golden Riches as one wide receiver, the second-year man out of Stanford. The tight end, the big man, number 89, Billy Joe Dupree. Jay Salty is also in there now. Number 87, the 2 tight end offense for Dallas. First and 10, the ball at their own 20-yard line. Newhouse, left side, big hole. Newhouse pounds out for a 7-yard gain to about the 27. It will be second down and 3, hit there by Ed Simonini, who is the middle linebacker of the Baltimore's defense. 17th overall in the NFL last year, 9th against the rush. There they are, front 4, a healthy front 4. They weren't at the beginning of last year. Those are your linebackers. And a good secondary. Norm Thompson at one corner. At the other corner, Doug Nettles. Nettles, of course, a change of starters at defensive right cornerback for the Colts. Second down and 3. Tony Dorsett. Dorsett has the first down. I think he'll be ruled down before he coughed up the ball. It was Doug Nettles who came up there and laid it on Dorsett. He did appear to have the yardage for a first down. Yes, he does.
Frank, I think Dandy touched on the key point about Baltimore in the opening of the show when he said they're susceptible to the run. In average yards per rush, the Cowboys were 5th a year ago in the league. The Colts on defense allowed 4.25 yards per rush. They ranked 24th. So as Dandy said, the Cowboys will be running.
At their own 31, first and 10 for Dallas. Inside handoff. Dorsett, good defensive play. Moving across the line of scrimmage. Number 76 was Joe Ehrman. Gain of a yard. Second down and about 9. Tony Dorsett. Rookie of the year in the NFL last year. Over 1,000 yards rushing. The exciting player. Set Dallas records for runs from scrimmage. He had a couple of beauties. 12 touchdowns overall on the season. A great year for the Heisman Award winner out of Pittsburgh. Second down and 9. Ball at the 32. Staubach, his first attempt of the night. Goes to Tony Dorsett, and Dorsett holds on. A flag is down as Dorsett is down at the 36-yard line, short of the first down. Stan White, one of the fine linebackers of Baltimore, covering Dorsett. Indication is going to go against the Baltimore Colts. Our referee tonight, Jim Tunney.
He was in Denver yesterday, made a lot of time.
Illegal shock. Defense. First down.
We're going to hear this many times at the beginning of the season. Those defensive backs are just not used to the new rule that allows them only to hit one time or ride the receiver within 5 yards. You can't touch them when they go 5 yards down the field, and Doug Nettles obviously has not become accustomed to that new rule. It's going to make for long touchdown passes. We saw it yesterday, and quite frankly, it's a bit of a safety device that was considered that, as well as adding offense to the NFL, considered that by the NFL players and management committee.
The competition committee had that in mind. You're right about that. And Wesley Walker's touchdowns against Miami prove what you just said.
First and 10 for the Cowboys, their own 37-yard line. The motion man, Tony Hill, an exciting athlete. Inside handoff, Newhouse working against the grain. Fools no one in the Baltimore defensive front 4. Squeaks out maybe a yard. Ed Simonini, Joe Ehrman in there on the stop. It'll be second and 9.
They're running left at the moment behind Donovan and Scott with the help of Fitzgerald at center, of course. You just looked at Bobby Newhouse's statistics. But if there is a weakness on Dallas, we'll have to keep our eyes on Andy Frederick, second-year man, number 71, who has to handle Fred Cook, who is an all-pro.
Second down and 9 for the Cowboys. Play action fake, foul back, draws a crowd, and the ball, and he throws it into a crowd. It's picked off. Norm Thompson. Baltimore with their second break of the ball game, and Thompson comes back to the 40-yard line. Staubach under a lot of pressure, hung it up for grabs, and Thompson accepted downfield and returned it to the 40.
Frank told you before what a first-rate player Norm Thompson is. He was great. As we look at it again, Dandy, why don't you take over on it?
Howard, he threw a bad ball, which is so unusual for Roger to do. It was a short yardage situation, but we really didn't get it close. So the only thing you can say, he just threw a bad ball, and we'll come back and see why. All right, Howard, you see, right, Roger got hit pretty good. I don't really know what the mix-up was. He didn't have that much time to throw. You see Barnes coming in there. Cook was in there. That was, you mentioned that we're going to have to be taking a look at Andre Frederick. That was Cook's man. Barnes came in from the other side over Donovan.
Baltimore's second break of the game. Dallas fumbled the opening kickoff. They couldn't capitalize. They get the interception, and moving for about 3 yards, Roosevelt leaks. It'll be second down and 7. The ball at the 37-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys.
Now, you guys were saying a while ago, and I understand why you want to try maybe play it conservative with a rookie quarterback, but I think when they come into a game like this, they've got so many unknowns and so many players that are missing, and they know Dallas is a really conservative kind of team. I would go out for them right quick and throw the ball, do whatever. I wouldn't run right up the middle. I'd try to get some points on the board quick.
The question mark is number 15, Mike Kirkland, basically a rookie out of Arkansas. Having to go at quarterback. He hands off to Don McCauley. McCauley upset Harvey Martin, who is working against another basic rookie, number 69, Wade Griffin. And it's kind of a one-sided duel involving this man. He might be the best defensive end in all of football.
You know, Frank, now when you talk, nobody runs against them very well, and they sure not going to run against Harvey. Harvey didn't move him. He didn't move a muscle right there. He kept moving right back in the back.
You play into the hands of the flex defense, which we'll deal with later. If you run, especially on first down. The way to take Landry's computer is to use it in your favor. We'll explain more later, Frank.
Third down, 7. Kirkland, his first attempt. Going to Marshall Johnson. Incomplete. Fourth down.
That was their prevent, which they call a 4-0. There's not really a linebacker. They take Brunig and D.D. Lewis out of there, and they really can double everybody that way. They take them short, they take them long, and that's when they only use that thing in a short yardage, in a long yardage situation. So he waited until an obvious passing down to throw his first pass.
David Lee, the gray beard of the Baltimore Colts. He's been here 5 years more than any other Baltimore player. He set the punt for Baltimore. Butch Johnson playing a short safety, anticipating the attempt by Lee out of bounds. Baltimore trying to draw the penalty. They don't get it. Fair catch. Called for, but not made, obviously. Butch Johnson lets it drift into the end zone. He just wanted to slow down the defensive team coming downfield. So Baltimore has 2 breaks. They capitalize on neither. The score remains scoreless. We'll be back in a moment. Frank Gifford, Don Meredith, glad to be back with you again as Monday Night Football is kicking off with, well, quite frankly, a game that we had looked forward to all the offseason. However, Baltimore really decimated by the injury to Burt Jones. Lydell Mitchell, of course, gone to San Diego. They received Joe Washington. We haven't seen him yet. We might see him on kicks. They have been given 2 breaks. They could capitalize on neither. First and 10 for Dallas. The ball at their own 20-yard line. Inside handoff, and Newhouse ducks one rushing Baltimore Colt, turns back to the middle and runs into a group headed by number 78, John Dutton. Loss of a yard will be second down 11.
Mike Barnes was in there, 63 first, and slowed him up, and Dutton killed him off. So thus far, Mike Barnes is playing a whale of a game. That's twice he's had a call.
Barnes made a good move just then. As a while ago on the other side, we had John Dutton made a quick move into the inside too. We'll see if they don't come back up.
Second 11, draw play. Tony Dorsett, left side. Gets back to the line of scrimmage, tacks on a couple more. It'll be third down and 8. Stan White and Joe Ehrman in there defensively for Baltimore.
Stan White, an opportunistic linebacker who has excelled at the intercept in recent years from Ohio State. Always around the football, or so it seems.
I'll tell you, he excels. He has 23 interceptions in 7 years. He's always there. Passing down for Staubach. He was rushed on a similar situation and threw the interception. Now out of the shotgun. A lot of time. All right. Preston Pearson. He's the man the Cowboys always like to bring in, third in passing yardage, and Pearson gets the Cowboys out of trouble. First down out to the 43-yard line. They always bring him in on the passing down.
I think this is Cook that kind of jumps over. Let's see, they did a little crisscross there in the middle. Let me check that number. No, that's Barnes, 63 that comes over. Since a little delay pattern that comes in there, it's used by, I really think, most of the successful offensive teams to utilize that back that comes out there late. Minnesota probably does it better than anybody.
It's amazing the way Preston is always there on the third down, as Frank mentioned.
The only non-Cowboy, along with Seption, their kicker, that wasn't drafted or a free agent for Dallas. Preston Pearson getting the call. Newhouse, right side. Met hard by a really rugged defensive unit of the Baltimore Colts. And I said it at the top of the show, and Don, Howard, you've seen it over the years. A team hit with problems, often in many sports, will play just a little bit over their head. And defensively, the Colts are doing that.
I think it might be true, Frank, and it probably is. But I also know that Dallas, in the first stages of the ball game, and particularly early in the season, they don't really show a lot of anything fancy. It's just basic. They're hitting to the left, to the right, trying to find something that might loosen up.
2nd and 9. The ball at the 43 of Dallas. Tony Dorsett, an opening, look out. Dorsett has the first down. He's in Baltimore territory, 47-yard line. Finally dropped by Lyle Blackwood and Norm Thompson as Tony Dorsett went over the right side. Andy Frederick, who is replacing the retired Ralph Neely, number 71 on that side, providing one of the blocks along with Tom Rafferty.
That's a pretty good holes over there, wouldn't you say? Ooh, he just knocked it out. I had lunch with Ralph, as a matter of fact, today, and he was talking about this offensive line and Tom Rafferty in particular. And he says that he is going to be really one of the good ones. He thinks Pat Donovan's one of the best offensive tackles in football right now.
That's saying a lot.
It really is.
Yep. The 1st and 10 inside the 47-yard line of Baltimore. The motion man is Drew Pearson. Staubach floods back to the left, looking for an individual coverage. He doesn't get it. And the attempt to Tony Hill, covered well by Norm Thompson, and he got some assistance back there from number 40, Bruce Laird.
Now, you might want to know about Tony Hill. This much you know. When Landry starts to brag about a player, and he's been bragging unceasingly about Tony Hill, he's got to be exceptional. Like most rookies under Landry, he sat on the bench last year. He comes from Stanford. He's a second-year man. He hasn't, you're looking at Mike Kirkland now, he hasn't dropped a pass in the preseason. And he had to be extraordinary. Watch this now. Watch Staubach unloading.
I'll tell you, they're getting to him.
Well, it's kind of licks.
Good Lord.
Oh, boy, that's Urban.
Go Urban again.
Go Urban. And I didn't see that. I was watching the thing, too. He got him.
2nd down, 10.
Look out, look out.
Cook pressures.
And he got it again.
Forces Staubach into trouble. He misses on the attempted screen.
Now, look for a lot of that tonight. That's why we told you about Cook against Andy Frederick. Cook is one of the quickest defensive ends in the game.
The thing you got to do, well, he's
right open.
You don't go down on your knees like that. He's trying to throw a cut block. All you really want him to do is just slow him up. So stand up, hit him just a little bit, and hold him off. I'd have the conversation with that boy right there. I said, look here now. Let me tell you something,
I think
fella.
Tom will when he looks at the
And I imagine Roger will, too.
Roger getting little or no respect from Baltimore tonight. 3rd down and 10. The ball is still inside the 47. Roger drops to the shotgun. Out to the left, Drew Pearson. Billy Joe Dupree. Preston Pearson, number 26, also in there as a wingback.
There's
a lot of time, and a man is open. And Preston Pearson again.
That's right.
Oh, he's blown it. Was he touched? Finally, and it was far downfield.
No. If we look at the retouch. I'm sorry, Frank.
Ray Oldham was defending. Well, now the debate. Did he drop the ball? Was he touched?
Yep, he got it.
Touched him.
Good
down right there.
Now, you have consistently explained that, Frank, in past games. He touched the man was down, and so play was ruled dead at that point.
Been a lot of conversations about the violence and how to correct it. I think in that area, general area, where a guy is down or not down, is one area that it can be controlled a little bit more. Because the guys come in and they do take a shot when the guy is obviously not going to be able to make any more yardage.
Fourth down, Dallas will go for that. And by the way, that was the 7th official who's been added this year that made that call. No other official saw it. Herman offside. Newhouse has the first down in any event at the 30-yard line. Flag down. You saw Herman, or rather Mike Barnes, number 63, move across the line of scrimmage.
I look for him to have a really outstanding year this year. Newhouse, I'm talking about, for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, he's got Dorsett back there, and they're going to be keying on him. That's not Robert Newhouse or Dorsett, but I think he will have a good one. He's the kind of guy that just seems to, he's a good blocker, very consistent, makes those short yardage situations, and he's awfully hard to bring down.
Okay.
Thank you. How you been, Howard?
Dallas 3-1 on the preseason. Baltimore 1-3 on the preseason. Dallas lost to Houston. Baltimore only beat Detroit. On the 1st and 10, the ball goes to Dorsett. Bounces to the outside.
Not a bad move.
Nifty move by Dorsett to get away from Sanders Shriver. And he turned it, what appeared to be a loser, into a 3-yard pickup.
All right, that was also a heck of a good play by John Dutton, number 78, that came in there. But Shriver's having his hands full catching it in. Urban caught up with it. Good pursuit down the line.
Looked like John Travolta.
You bet.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Well, somewhat. Frank just did, and I just said, you bet.
11th play for Dallas. 4-yard pickup for Dorsett. Second down, 6 yards to go. Ball inside the 27-yard line. Motion man, Tony Hill, sets into a wing position. Dorsett, reverse to Tony Hill.
He could throw.
He can throw.
And there he goes. Short.
And fools nobody. But he dropped. Does not hold on in the end zone. Intended for Drew Pearson.
Tom loves that play, doesn't he, Don?
Yeah, I was talking to Ermel Allen, buddy. Ermel said if they ever get into this, he actually told me that Pearson was going to throw it. He didn't tell me Tony Hill. If he waited just a little bit more and got in there behind Scott, he threw it a little bit off balance. He was open there for a little while. Let's see what Pearson can. He go try to lull him to sleep. Don't you imagine Frank in the inside?
He looked like he was caught with his hand in the cookie jar. He didn't fool anyone.
It was a good move by Bruce Laird, though. He saw that outside move. Key, number 40.
Third down 7. Howard said Landry loves that play. Remember the Super Bowl? Robert Newhouse, Golden Richards, that put it on ice. 27-10 over Denver. Out of the shotgun. Staubach.
Oh,
to the man who never lets go.
Is that Wild?
Drew Pearson.
I'm telling you. Was that Pearson or was that Hill?
Drew Pearson, and he is still down.
Man, that was some kind of catch.
I'll tell you, while you were vacationing, we talked, watch him again, we talked as we watched Drew Pearson about the fact that the real science of drafting begins with the third.
It'll be second down and 7. Boy, you talk about lightning. This little man, Howard Don, he can put some moves on like you've never seen.
Well, Don said Dallas doesn't show a lot in the early stages of a season, and the record year in and year out backs him up as we look at the man who can't smile and think at the same time. And we look at the beleaguered one, Teddy Marchibroda, who's gone through all kinds of terrible situations in the preseason.
One setback, Robert Newhouse. Second down 7. 2 tight ends are in. Newhouse gets the ball. Left side, big hole. Nice. Look at Newhouse bouncing away from Ed Simonini.
Restore our normal quality service at any moment. As we work to restore the quality of our signal, we will continue our normal programming.
First game. And they look like a championship team.
15th play coming up. First and goal, the ball at the 5-yard line. Dorsett losing yardage, hoping to make more. Doesn't pay off, and he's taken all the way back close to the 10-yard line as Lyle Blackwood comes up there from his safety position.
That's the kid who shocked us all last year. As we look at Tom again, the duo one. Blackwood came up with, what, 11 interceptions last year to lead the NFL, Frank?
Led the NFL, and he was a cast-off in Seattle.
TCU boy. Over here at Fort Worth. Did you know that?
Well, yeah.
You probably knew that.
I'm not sure it's relevant.
Well, he's close at home. He likes to play this kind of weather.
Second and goal. The ball back at the 10-yard line. Tony Hill goes left. Drew Pearson goes right. Back to the double back. Staubach. Screen pass. Newhouse. Look at Newhouse. All right. Newhouse gets away from number 40. Bruce Laird somehow stayed on his feet, gets it down to the 1-yard line. And what do they call him? A revolving doorstop. I don't know. Revolved on this one.
They wanted to kill me because I said it was no Calvin Hill a few years ago. But this is as good an evidence of balance as you'll see. Look at that yardage pickup, Don.
He's just still, that is really wild. Now, you're right, he's not a Calvin Hill. Calvin retired this year. I would have said.
Would you believe that he called Tex Ran, wanted to come back?
Yeah, I believe that.
3rd and goal, the ball at the 1, no score. Inside 1 minute remaining in the first quarter. Dallas grinding it out. Staubach rolls out, his receiver falls down. He wanted to go to Salty, Jay Salty, the tight end, play action fake. Salty slipped out to the right, and it would have been an easy touchdown.
Watch Salty. He's from South.
When he puts it down,
I don't believe it.
Inside the other day was too close. Apparently, he misses from the. I don't believe it either. We'll be right back in the Texas Stadium in Irving. Raphael Seption from 1 yard out. He got him 8-yard field goal. Got in a little close, I guess. He kicked well for the Rams last year. A friend Herrera held out for the Cowboys this year. They let him go. He went to Seattle. They signed Seption. Who's not a bad kicker, quite frankly.
Oh, he's great inside the 40.
Where they signed him out Herrera. On 1st and 10. Outside. And Leach bowled for about a yard and a half.
Well, Marcia Brothers going to play it his way, Don.
Well, I think he should. He's coach.
Can you get a direct line down to him?
No, I don't think so. I talked to old Dick Bilski and Max Zivona. Know a couple of those guys. See how they're doing.
Leach gets a couple of yards. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Baltimore with what should be the final play of the first quarter, and still no score. See some strange happening after he gets back to the line of scrimmage. His weight. Forrest carries him ahead for about a yard. It'll be 3rd down and 7, and that is the end of the first quarter. Baltimore missing on 2 opportunities. Dallas missing an unheard of 8-yard field goal attempt is scored. Back in Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas, located just outside of Dallas. Sellout crowds over 65,000. 3rd down 7. Baltimore has the ball, their own 23-yard line.
They're looking for their first down. They haven't made one yet.
Marshall Johnson has moved into the backfield.
I think he was. Well, it is. Frank made a point. They get so close, it's just hard to kick them down there. That's what it was.
Should have taken a 5-yard penalty. Many teams do.
David Lee will punt. Butch Johnson is deep for Dallas. Butch Johnson, fine return man. And they put 2 men back. They're probably going to go for the block. Sometimes they'll put Tony Hill back there, too. Clock ran out, and
they caught it.
They caught him, and it's going to be 5 yards.
That was old Tom Henderson, wasn't it? He's keeping an eye on the clock.
They probably were trying to get the 5-yard penalty, and Dallas wouldn't go.
Offense. Still 4th down.
We may yet see Tom Matty come back tonight, old number 41, with the plays on the cup.
I played in that game when he came in, and we forgot that he didn't play defense, and they beat us 35-3.
All right, they could not draw Dallas off. This time they'll kick away from 5 yards further out. David Lee hangs one up. It doesn't turn over. Butch Johnson will try on the sidelines.
Good catch.
And he tightrope down the sidewalk. Down the sideline goes Butch Johnson. He picked up about 9 yards just with his own skill. He was right on the sideline. And he moves all the way down to the 40-yard line of Baltimore.
Those stats give you some indication of Marcia Broder's game plan, which is to try to stay close. But you can't win that way. Look at time of possession.
That's really wild.
You know, another thing Baltimore did all preseason, pointing toward this game, they weren't showing any offense at all. No multiple sets. Nothing to their outside receivers, who only caught 5 between them, Carr and Dowdy. And they lost their quarterback last week, so they had to adjust. This is Dorsett on 1st and 10, and he has a 1st down at the 35-yard line. Bruce Laird made the stop.
You know, I was talking to, I wasn't talking to Harvey Martin there. What's Harvey? He's not hurt or anything, is he? No, he looks good. He's just eager. That's the kind of running play that Dallas has been able to really put in their offense now that Dorsett is here, and it's a lot more of the zone, straight ahead kind of blocks, and allow him to move and pick their holes. And they've never really had that kind of back. to give that freedom with that flexibility, and certainly he's been able to take advantage of it.
And Dorsett, by the way, is going to have a simply tremendous year. The Cowboys were frankly worried about him. Success had come to him too quickly, and they worried about his personal life. But this young man has settled down, and he's going to be one of the great ones in the history of the league.
I lied to you a little bit. You saw how much. A second down and inches. The ball at the 35-yard line. Newhouse.
Yep.
Corrects my error. Moves down to the 37-yard line. Dallas first down. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is prohibited, so don't use it. Dallas.
Frank, they're going into their two tight end situation on a first down. They put Saldi and they've got Billy Joe Dupree, and they took Hill out. Strong running situation.
You know, I think Rodgers getting impatient. You watch for him to unload that thing in the end zone pretty soon, too.
Maybe he'll throw off of this.
On 1st and 10.
There he goes. Play action. And there he is, open. Blip. Nice.
Oh, and intended for Drew Pearson, incomplete, defending back there, number 40, Bruce Blair.
Strange to see Pearson drop that one, Don.
A nice route. Look how he just kind of weaves his way around in here, and he comes back in, jumps right there, and slides. He just didn't catch it. That's Calvin O'Neill, number 51, they had in there at linebacker, just right in the middle. Good and quiet hand.
You're a student of Bobby Dillon. The times they are a-changing. Paletnikov, Casper, and Branch all dropped passes yesterday
there, and probably Bob Dillon would, too.
Drew Pearson. Over 230 receptions over the last 5 years. You don't see him drop passes like that. Gives Roger a second down and 10. Ball at the 33-yard line.
There's your little screen. Look out.
Newhouse and Newhouse.
Well played.
Hill moving up quickly from the defensive cornerback. Turning it inside, Norm Thompson, and making the stop. Darrell Luce, number 58. Joe Ehrman in there also. Loss all the way back to the 35-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 12.
Screen passes either work or don't work, depending on how good actors you got up there in that offensive line. They left too soon, showed the play too quickly, allowed that defense to move out there with it.
Sometimes it can be the key play in your offensive category. It used to be with Paul Brown when he had Jimmy Brown on the receiving end.
And Bobby Mitchell, too.
Tony Hill right. Is in the backfield as a wingback. Out of the shotgun on 3rd and 12.
Nobody with Dorsett. Over there's nobody with Dorsett. And
picked off down at the 15-yard line. Number 43, Norm Thompson, gets his second of the night. Man wide open. Tony Hill just short of the end zone. Roger apparently being harassed back there, did not see him. So pick off by Lloyd. Mumford helping Norm Thompson, but Thompson gets the interception. Tom Landry, the only coach the Cowboys have ever had. Been in the playoffs 11 of the last 12 years. Not a losing season since 1966. But he's having his problems tonight against the shuffled Baltimore Colts team that is battling furiously defensively, but they can't move it on offense. 1st and 10 from their own 15-yard line. Don McCauley, right side. And McCauley is met there by Benny Barnes, number 31, who comes up from the left cornerback spot.
Just stood there and waited, read the play immediately. No chance for a game.
Charlie Waters was up in there, too. I was talking to some of the guys, and Waters takes, in a regular season, if the games are on schedule, he takes 4 hours on Thursday night, and he goes through the defensive computerization. And he's the guy that really calls the plays back there, and he's the guy that really does keep the offensive formations better than anyone. He read that one extremely well. He and Barnes were there about the same time.
What a safety tandem. Cliff Harris and Charlie Waters. Gain of 1 by McCauley. 2nd down and 9 from the 16-yard line. And getting the call, Roosevelt leaks. Left side, forget about it. Jethro Pugh is there. Harvey Martin moving out. Randy White.
And Dallas knows now that Kirkland's not going to throw. So they're masked. And there's no way Baltimore's going to run against that.
Jethro, according to Ernie Stout there, and it's funny, you know, guys will go along, they'll have a couple of kind of, good years, but not great ones. It's been, according to Ernie, by far Jethro's best training camp. They had to let a couple of good guys go. Bill Gregory was one of them.
3rd down 7 could be a key to the Baltimore philosophy. Dallas is in a prevent defense, and Kirkland dumps it off. This is McCauley, and McCauley has the first down, and the flag goes down back at the 10-yard line.
It's going to be called against number 75. I think that Dallas is pointing.
That was Henderson back in there, and he actually overran the play.
Yep. It's going to be called against George Kunz, who is now in his 11th year in the league, out of Notre Dame, one of the great offensive linemen. Traditionally known as such, but a man suffering from a bad back, Frank.
He has had his problems. He hasn't played at all in the preseason. Illegal use of hands. And, of course, Coons tonight going against a pretty formidable opponent in Ed Jones. Here's the call.
Illegal use of the hands, offense number 75 during the run. Half the distance of the goal line. Third down still.
Now, Mike Kirkland back inside his own 10. Third down, 15 yards. What do you do? Never played a minute in an NFL regular season game. 6 of 24 in preseason. On the spot here tonight.
You run a draw and then you punt.
No score in the game. Quick handoff. McCauley finds a big opening. McCauley gets out to the 20-yard line. 5 yards short of a first down. Hit there by Cliff Harris and dropped as Dallas was willing to give them the short yardage. They weren't going to give them anything else. That brings out David Lee and drops back Butch Johnson for Dallas. There he is. 8.5 average on 50 returns last year. Here's Lee. Not a long kicker. Very accurate when he is kicking for out of bounds. He had to hustle this time. He gets out close to midfield. So David Lee being rushed by Randy Hughes. Kicks a short kick. Dallas will have the ball at midfield when we return. Howard, they have to miss him. He led our NFL in completions last year. He's a fiery kind of a quarterback, and he loves to play against Dallas.
He's one of the best there is at the position. There's no question about it.
Out for they really don't know how long. An incomplete separation of the right shoulder. First and 10 for Dallas, just short of midfield. Sawback, wide open is Tony Hill, and he puts a tremendous move on Duck Nettles, and look out, and that's why he's starting ahead of Golden Richards.
That is something else.
Lyle Blackwood saves the touchdown, but how about the move he put on a fairly good tackler in Duck Nettles to break it loose?
Looks like he's limping off a little bit.
That's why Tom Landry has been bragging on him all the preseason.
This is one of those where you say, all right, let's get this thing rolling. We'll pick up 5 yards and we're going to go. And you're right. He did it all on his own. There's another white jerseys down there.
Remember, he beat out Butch Johnson, number 86, who was a hero of the Super Bowl. He beat out Golden Richards, who has been a solid receiver through all the years.
He has been that. High school, Long Beach Poly, where Gene Washington went. Stanford, he broke all of Washington's records there, and he might set a few here in Dallas before it's all over. 49-yard pickup, first and goal.
There he goes.
21 is Doug Dennison, touchdown Dallas, and they get the goose eggs off the scoreboard at 8:57 remaining in the half.
That's the way Dallas can strike, abruptly. That's Tony Hill from Stanford, the man who made it possible. And Tony Hill sat out all last year, Frank. You know the way Tom is with rookies. But this year, there was no holding him back.
That was not a bad block, by the way, guys, by old Tom Rafferty, that guard who led that way in there. He kind of stood him up, too.
Raphael Seption, he missed one. A field goal attempt from a yard in closer earlier to, I'm sure, his embarrassment. This one.
All right.
It really pokes. This is what you were talking about, Don.
Well, you got Billy Joe Dupree, who's the guy that really is a heck of a blocker, number 89. You see Donovan. Look how far Donovan pushes those guys in. Heck of a block. Hey, that's Dorsett out there blocking. And
he took Nettles right off the tackle.
Sir.
So Dallas on the scoreboard. 8:57 remaining in the half. Cowboys leading the Colts 7-0. Doug Dennison scores from the 1-yard line following a 49-yard Roger Staubach to Tony Hill completion, which was mostly Tony Hill. Set to kick off. Raphael Seption deep. Marshall Johnson in the middle, number 80, flanked by number 23 Don McCauley and number 20 Joe Washington, acquired from San Diego in the trade of Lydell Mitchell. It will be Johnson as he's driven into the end zone, and he'll bring it up.
Good move.
Johnson gets by Denny Barnes, and Seption saves it. All right. Seption will get an ovation because Marshall Johnson was out of here. He has got plenty of speed, and he takes it all the way down to the 44-yard line.
Now that's the break Baltimore needed. For the first time tonight, they've got field position. Let's see if young Mike Kirkland keeps running the ball into a masked Dallas defense or finally begins to try to throw at least.
You remember Marshall Johnson against Oakland in the playoffs. Ran one back 87 yards for a touchdown. Had a lot of problems with knees over the past 3 years, but he looked healthy on that one, and he gets Baltimore good field position at Dallas's 44-yard line. Kirkland going the slant, attempting to go to Dowdy, incomplete. Denny Barnes right on top of Dowdy.
Another one of those late defensive changes. You saw D.D. Lewis, number 50, run out and again kind of put a double on the outside receivers. That puts a lot of pressure on that quarterback. They'll give you an opening, but boy, it's got to be right in the middle. There's D.D. Lewis out in front of Roger Carr. This is the real speedster that 2 years ago had a great year. Now that's where he's got to come back. Only that 5 yards. Now Carr's coming back in there.
Second down, 10. Roosevelt leads 48. Down McCauley 23 to setbacks. Dowdy's in motion. And the toss goes to McCauley. Leaks for the block in front of McCauley, running well, breaking tackles, and the all-time leading rusher from North Carolina gets an 8-yard pickup down to the 37-yard line. Give him 7, it'll be third down and 3.
Pretty good block by Dowdy that time. Number 35 coming back on old Too-Tall. Closed off the inside a little bit, congested it, and enabled McCauley to get to the outside.
McCauley came up back in 1971. Second pick in the draft. Remember the first one? O.J. Simpson. Marshall Johnson goes out left.
I didn't know that.
Third and 3. And the pass from Kirkland behind Marshall Johnson.
Too bad, just poorly thrown. He could have hit Johnson, who was running the slant.
He was their leading receiver, wasn't he, in the preseason, Johnson? And he was also the leading. He led punt returns and kickoffs and stuff like that.
He's a good athlete.
Yeah.
On fourth down, David Lee rolls out. Butch Johnson drops back, positions himself at his own 10-yard line. There he is.
These guys haven't made a first down yet.
Another punt that was hurried by David Lee. Oh, and this is taking a good Baltimore bounce down around the 1-yard line. That's 30. David Lee, he did it 19 times last year.
That's the way you can kill a team. John James did that yesterday for Atlanta against Houston. The coffin corner kick, which has come more and more into vogue, which used to be a very big thing in college football back in the 30s. Principally off the quick kick.
I know what June Jones do yesterday.
He did quite well. Read a Houston blitz. You'll see him on a halftime highlights. Caught Bubba Bean all alone. Produced the tying touchdown. On the halftime highlights, you'll see that stunning upset of the Vikes by the New Orleans Saints. The stunning upset of the Dolphins by the New York Jets.
7:40 to go until halftime. Cowboys leading Baltimore 7-0. They'll begin from their own 1-yard line. Good kick, David Lee. Drawback, play action fake. Tony Dorsett. Dorsett gets it out close to the 10-yard line. Tackled there by Doug Nettle, short of the first down by about a yard and a half.
I like that, Roger the Dodger. I like him for so many reasons. A, he's a great athlete. B, he's a great person. Tell you this, on June 29th past in Minneapolis, Minnesota, they roasted Francis Tarkenton for the benefit of the American Diabetes Association. Raised $180,000 all told. You know who showed up? Roger the Dodger. Took his lumps, too.
Good look at him. Surveying second down, a yard and a half. Hands off to Dorsett, and Dorsett is down. Hustling across Mike Barnes, number 63. NFL Players Association picked Mike Barnes as the Lion of the Year in '77.
But he had his buddy Dutton in there with him, too. That front four of Baltimore,
they're solid.
What do they call them? The sack pack or something like that. They had a couple of things went wrong last year. One of the guys a little down in the back, had a broken arm by Ehrman, but they still put it together pretty good. They're really good at rushing the passer.
Loss of a yard. Third down now. A long 3. Staubach. Ball deflected, but it's still caught there by number 33, Tony Dorsett. Look out!
Look out.
All right. Norm Thompson misses. It should be all over.
It's all over.
All right. 91-yard touchdown. Dorsett being congratulated. There's not a cold in the area.
Well, that ball was deflected, wasn't it?
It sure was. It didn't appear it would even get to Dorsett. When you see this in replay, Don, watch. Watch Dorsett hold position.
There it was.
See it deflected?
Almost. Oh, he almost got it again.
That's right. His vision was blocked on the ball. He held position, picked it off, and from there on in, look at that move.
Boy, is he a sweet little runner.
Oh, he's not bad.
All fluid, all grace.
There you go. Give me 5. Let's dance on him, darling.
Dallas strikes quickly once again. 91-yard touchdown pass. Staubach. Tony Dorsett. Raphael Septian on for the conversion. Good. So the inevitable is beginning to happen. Let's take another look. It's worth watching. Staubach throwing right up from his own goal line. Deflected, touched twice, I believe, and away he goes.
Look at that.
Tom will get on him because that ball didn't spiral.
Norm Thompson, I don't think he even touched him. Just grabbed a handful of air.
Yeah.
See him shake the hand of his teammate as he moved it on in.
Cowboys 14, Colts nothing. We'll be back. Baltimore with 2 early opportunities. They couldn't capitalize. Dallas stammered around for a while, and they finally hit on 2 big plays. A 49-yard pass to Tony Hill and a 91-yard touchdown pass to Dorsett. It's 14-0, and here comes Don McCauley, running back kickoff, doing a little bit of everything tonight on an injury-riddled Baltimore Colt team, and McCauley gets out to the 29-yard line where Baltimore will try and get back in it. They really, quite honestly, do not have the weapons to do so.
They don't. They're in chaos no matter how they try to protest otherwise. Look at that. The loss of Lydell Mitchell, one of the premier players in professional football, for whatever reason. Joe Washington probably will see his greatest service. The guy that got for Lydell is a kick runner.
Man on the spot, young Mike Kirkland, 6'1", 184-pounder, 3rd year out of Arkansas, playing in his first pro game. Hands off, McCauley. McCauley goes out to the 32-yard line. Gain of 2. It'll be 2nd and 8, hit by Bruning. 53, Harvey Martin, 79.
Don, explain why you play into Dallas's hands against the flex defense when you consistently run on first down.
No, I don't have any way. I don't have any idea how to explain that, but I imagine that it's not that much easier to throw against them. You really one of those between a rock and a hard place.
It's what you have to do.
Yeah, well, they're going to get so far behind in a little while they'll really get panicky, and Dallas can go into that prevent defense. But the amazing thing is they have really no first downs and only 37 yards rushing.
2nd down, 8. Dallas, the number 1 defense in the NFL last year. 3rd against the pass, 2nd against the rush.
Look out, hit.
Too tall. Makes Kirkland throw it high, and that gave the defensive area, led by Tom Henderson, a chance to get to McCauley before he could get to the ball.
I honestly believe there is no better athlete in football today than Tom Henderson. We've talked about him in the past years. He runs like a halfback. He has tremendous speed. He used to be used, as you look at him there, by Tom Landry on kickoffs. He would take the ball on a reverse. Some years back, he broke one for a touchdown, and in the Super Bowl game against Pittsburgh, which Dallas did lose, on the opening kickoff, he set up Dallas's first touchdown by running it back on the receiving end of a reverse into Pittsburgh territory.
3rd down, 7. McCauley and Marshall in the backfield. Kirkland, he's got it. He'll get the first.
First down.
And steps out of bounds at the 46-yard line. First down, Baltimore. Mark Washington up there threatening.
They'll choose somebody out because there was nobody over there. Somebody's supposed to stay home. Good move by Kirkland, though. He's never going to. He saw a big opening there. Had to run with it.
By the way, if you want to watch Dallas develop later in the season, you'll have the chance right here on ABC. Not once, but twice. We'll be back in the big D for Minnesota against Dallas. and will be in the national capital for Dallas against Washington.
You know, Kirkland still has the Arkansas record for the longest run from scrimmage, 91 yards. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Okay. He won the pass, punt, and kick. When? 10 years ago.
10 years ago. I think I
right here. Right here.
The 1st and 10. Baltimore's first down from their own 41-yard line. And they run out of time. Too much time once again.
Mike is calling his own plays, we were told, and they will get some assistance from the sideline and not messengers, but I guess that wiggle-waggle or whatever it is.
Stop. I have news.
Stop.
The Cowboys' longest pass play in history was 95 yards. It was from Don Meredith to Bob Hayes. Tonight you saw the second longest, 91 yards. Staubach to Dorsett. Ooh, you were something, Don.
Yeah, well, I threw mine a lot further than
Who
Bob.
caught it?
I don't know. I just threw it up and said, y'all go get it.
When you had number 22 to throw to, it wasn't too bad.
It was not bad.
Bob Hayes. Oh.
That is right.
5-yard penalty. 1st down, 15. The ball inside the 41-yard line. 5 minutes remaining in the first half. Baltimore trailing the Cowboys 14-0.
Look out, Mike. Oh, boy.
Kirkland attracts everybody. 50, D.D. Lewis is there.
That Thomas Henderson again, too, I think, wasn't it?
Yep.
Hugh is there. Henderson.
But I'll tell you, through all the years we've watched D.D. Lewis, they were riding watch D.D.
They love to blitz on 2nd and long.
You see that Henderson just delayed there a little bit, and that's in order to make that offensive line or blockers commit. He's got that extra speed that he can spot you half step, still beats you back there.
We talked about it before. He ran a legit, unaided 9.5 up at Oklahoma State a few years back, and he weighs 220 pounds.
You look at D.D. Lewis. What a guileful veteran.
2nd down and a bundle, 25 yards. Draw play. Roosevelt leaks, and Leaks gets out to the 38-yard line, gets some of it back. It'll still be 3rd down and long.
What you're going to see in the National Football League this year, with a 16-game schedule, as one studies the trouble that Marcia Broda, is the team with the greatest number of reserves, the team that can best withstand injuries, and Burt Jones is an example, emerging on top.
3rd down, 18. Dallas in a prevent. Randy Hughes comes in. He's number 42. Kirkland, down he goes.
I could have almost guessed that because he had everybody screaming at him from both sides. Everybody's hollering and yelling and telling him that he's in prevent defense. Man, you ain't got damn thing about nothing. I said, look out, man.
I got my own problems back here.
Don't tell me your problems on the sideline.
You see, it was in there, our old friend Larry Cole.
Oh, he's a good one, isn't he?
63, and Tommy Henderson again, number 56.
I read a thing in the paper about Larry Cole. They always gave for his one-liners. They say, why do you always, he said, I can't remember more than one line at a time.
David Lee will punt. Butch Johnson is deep. 3:36 remaining in the first half. Lee hits one and it turns over this time, and will drive Butch Johnson inside his 20. Good coverage, and Johnson goes down at the 26-yard line. 47-yard punt. Ozdowski down there, number 71 for Baltimore.
You look at Butch Johnson and you understand why Dallas has such a great football team, why they're equipped to withstand injuries. Butch Johnson is one of the best receivers in the league. As I said, a star in the Super Bowl game. He thought he finally had Golden Riches displaced. Now he finds Tony Hill ahead of him. When you got that kind of talent, so much of it, you can't fail to be up there.
1st and 10, Dallas.
Look out.
Dorsett.
Look out. I said, look out.
Maybe.
No, got the angle on him.
Dorsett out of bounds out at the 28-yard line.
Ryan Harrison, wasn't it?
47-yard pickup, and watch him accelerate. Now, he'll get on that sideline, Howard and Don, and watch him kind of coast and turn it on and try to get by them.
Looked like Bruce Laird missed him right there at the first, and this is Dwight Harrison who had a pretty good angle on him. Knocks him out. There again, you see Dupree kind of just flirt with him going to the outside. That whole right side just knocked him in again. There's Pearson out in front.
Key block, and I'm sure Tom is happy with it. Andy Frederick, number 71. You saw him.
He moved him in, didn't he?
Put Fred Cook inside, and Dorsett was gone. Doug Dennison will relieve Dorsett for a moment, number 21. 1st and 10 at the 28-yard line. Staubach.
Look out, Roger.
Screen. to Billy Joe Dupree. And Dupree gets... And if not, it would be McCauley. Here comes Harvey. Watch number 79.
He just went right around him, didn't he, Frank?
Well, you can't talk around it. You've got to hit it head on.
Kirkland is up.
He's up. But the number of injuries in the league now has become startling. And I don't know what can be done because of the nature of this game of football. But certainly there should be an instant new study. And I'm sure Pete Rozell's in favor of it, together with Ed Garvey, who runs the Players Association, to find, as the half ends, every possible way to protect the men who play the game.
And that is the end of the first half. The Cowboys leading the Colts 21-0. Stay with us. Exciting halftime activities from yesterday's play.
We're back live at Texas Stadium. The halftime score, Dallas 21, the riddled Baltimore team and nothing. Now for our halftime highlights, which are being brought to you by, that's the way the scoring went. Dennison on a 1-yard run. Staubach on a 94-yard pass to Tony Dorsett. And what a play by Dorsett. And then Staubach on an 8-yard pass to Billy Joe Dupree. Now to our halftime highlights. That was yesterday. What you're looking at today, right now, live in Texas Stadium, is the championship ring of Too Tall Jones. It is a size 19. It's about 7 sizes too big for the young man wearing it, but it's too small for Too Tall Jones.
Can you believe that?
I do believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to have Kunta Kinte back. LeVar Burton, the brilliant young actor who starred in Roots, which comes back beginning tomorrow night for 5 nights. Absolutely. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday.
You got it, Howard.
LeVar, do you think the show will take hold again the way it did the first time around?
Absolutely, Howard. You know, I've been all over the country this past year and a half. People tell me time and time again, I missed 1 episode, I missed 2 episodes, and they're waiting for it to come back on. I can't believe it. Mm-hmm. But of course, it makes me awfully happy, you know. It was the biggest thing that's ever happened to me, besides birth, I suppose, and I'm looking for really good ratings. ABC is too.
What's it done for your career, the impact of your performance?
It's changed my life in every way, shape, and form. Before, as you know, I was a student studying drama at USC, and now every day I live is different. No 2 days are alike. I travel a lot. I meet hundreds and hundreds of people each week, and it's just done tremendous things for me, professionally as well as personally.
Now, I'm told we have to go back. I just want the folks to know he's learned baseball. He plays Ron LaFleur in the forthcoming movie, and he does it very well indeed. A great base runner, leading the American League in stolen.
That's my man, Ron LaFleur.
We got to go back to football with Frank Gifford. Thank you, LeVar.
Halftime winding down. The score, Dallas 21, Baltimore nothing. ABC's NFL Monday Night Football will be ready for the second half kickoff after word from our local station. So stay with us when we return to a sellout crowd at Texas Stadium in Irving. Kirkland, the quarterback, playing in his first NFL regular season game, replacing the injured Burt Jones for Baltimore. Having a rough night. Roger Staubach having a good night after a slow start. There's Gil Brandt, the man that acquires the talent for the Dallas Cowboys. More bad news for Baltimore as they get set to receive the kickoff from Dallas. George Coons, their all-pro right tackle, has a reoccurring back injury. He may not see action in the second half. The number 1 linebacker, their best linebacker perhaps, number 53, Stan White, has a sprained knee. He may not see action. New NFL opening season crowd record set by tonight's attendance of the 14 games. Over 823,000 fans turned out to see the games in person, breaking last year's record of a little over 808,000. And over 65,000 here at Texas Stadium tonight, a late sellout. Watching the Dallas Cowboys off to a slow start, and then they really exploded. Dennison scored from 1 yard out. That followed a 49-yard pass, Tony Hill from Roger Staubach, and then Dorsett with the icing on it with a 91-yard touchdown. Staubach to Dorsett. Joe Washington, recently acquired from San Diego, the former Oklahoma All-American, slithers out over the 25-yard line to the 26. And we are anticipating for Baltimore, Mike Kirkland, a quarterback, 15, because that's just about it. Bill Troop, the backup, behind Burt Jones, was injured also last week. The setbacks, Don McCauley, 23. Roosevelt Leaks, 48. The wide receivers, 35. Dowdy. Roger Carr, 81. The tight end, Mac Alston, Van Dyne, number 67, replaces the injured right tackle George Coons for Baltimore. 1st and 10. Baltimore, their first possession. Here in the second half, they're down 21 points. The ball just inside the 27-yard line. Ron Lee gets the call over the left side, and Lee upended right at the line of scrimmage. And here's the man we watched Howard in a game, though, not so long ago, and he put on quite a show. We were kind of curious why he wasn't in there at the beginning.
That's right. We saw him against Houston 2 years ago. He broke one for long yardage. He's a fullback type who is running out of the halfback position, has enormous speed, can turn the corners, great power. He does, as you have noted, toss the ball up, perhaps much too occasionally. But I like to see him in there.
Big man, 6'4", 235, 2nd down and 10. Kirkland puts both backs out of the backfield. Firing over the middle, incomplete, in and out of the hands of Roosevelt Leaks, and it was D.D. Lewis on the coverage, Tom Henderson on the pressure.
I really think that was just a defensive play. Ball was pretty well thrown, Frank. Was that D.D. that knocked him? I thought it was Henderson that was right there on him.
It was Henderson.
And he just, again, you see him utilize that speed that he has. 2 first downs. Son of a gun. -7 yards passing.
3rd down, 10. Dowdy goes right. Carr goes left. Marshall Johnson, number 80, now in as a setback. That's it. Kirkland fires complete. Ron Lee has the first down out around the 41-yard line. Ron Lee last year over 340 yards rushing, backing up Lydell Mitchell and Roosevelt Leaks. Baltimore also has a young man they acquired recently, Don Hardiman. Played a lot of football with Houston, went to Tampa, was shot last year in a trade for Anthony Davis, and Baltimore acquired him earlier in the season. He has not seen action tonight. First and 10.
Okay.
Roosevelt Leaks.
That's Brunig over there from that middle linebacker. He picked up 2 or 3 yards, but he's still there in the hole.
You know, you touched on it earlier, Don, and the middle linebacker is always the key to Tom's defense. Jethro Pugh, Randy White, they get a lot of acclaim and all that, but one of their jobs is to make sure no one gets to this man, number 53, Bob Brunig. He reads his keys, steps in, filling either right across the line of scrimmage from tackle to tackle.
It's really true. Tom really has felt that way since the New York player coach days when he had Sam Huff there in the middle.
That was his whole game.
2nd and 7. 44-yard line of Baltimore.
Well, somebody missed something.
Flags are down. The ball may have been snapped a little early.
Tom used to drive in from Stamford, Connecticut every morning to the Yankee Stadium. That's when he was devising the 4-3 defense that became the staple defense of professional football. And the whole scheme was to have Robustelli, Greer, Marchaleski, and Katkavich hit to the outside, thus freeing Sam Huff. And that made Huff a star.
Illegal motion, right guard, declined, 3rd down.
Isn't that amazing what freeway traffic will do to your mind?
Actually, it all began against Cleveland many years ago, about 1950-51. Giants had the 7. They couldn't contain them, so they started dropping the ends off, and that evolved to 4-3. Illegal motion, 3rd down.
Get rid of it. Now then, come on out.
On Lee. Back to the line of scrimmage. That's it. He is buried. Cliff Harris is up, and Randy White is over.
I talk about it only because, as you know, Giff, I was in that car every morning, driving in with Landry and the big R, Robustelli.
It's just verified what I said.
I think there's some conversation in that car.
Yeah, can you imagine? It looked like that plane would go pick up a lot of yardage, but that was that pursuit from the inside. That thing was open there for a while.
David Lee will punt on 4th down. Deep is Butch Johnson, standing back at his 20-yard line. Butch Johnson at his own 27. And Johnson tacks on a few more. After the 42-yard line, Dallas is in good field position. And things will pick up dramatically now if Dallas continues where they left off in the first half. We'll be back in just a moment. 12:28 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Frank Gifford along with Howard Cosell, Don Meredith. Our first NFL Monday night season of season we feel is the best we've ever had. One of the Dallas Cowgirls, and Baltimore has further troubles as Dallas has a 1st and 10, their own 43-yard line. Their regular cornerback Norm Thompson, we talked about it in the first quarter, will not be back for the rest of the game. Stan White will not be back, nor will George Coons, and this is Newhouse. And the whirling one whirls out to the 47-yard line, a gain of 6 yards. It'll be 2nd and 4.
And as you watch this Baltimore team, which is but a shell of the team that has won 3 division championships consecutively, think of this. Next week, Miami, and nobody brings a team back better than Don Shula. And after that, New England, a powerhouse team, despite its loss to Washington. That'll be a Monday night game.
Of course, Dallas will be tested by the Giants.
Yes, indeed.
Next Sunday. On 2nd down, Newhouse gets the first down. A little extra effort. He's down around the 47-yard line. And Little Robert is having quite a night.
He is having a good night. I don't think you're going to see Dallas throw very much now, except in those very obvious passing situations, because as I think some of us mentioned earlier in the game, the one thing that Tom felt has been a little slow in developing this preseason has been their running, but it hadn't really been that bad. So I imagine they'll work on that for a little while, don't you?
Roberts averaging 4.5 yards per carry. Dorsett is all world.
Oh, is he indeed? Here he is. Here's all world.
Well, what he made me start giving this ball to different folks.
1st and 10. Dorsett slithers off the left side, where Pat Donovan's doing a good job against Dutton. He has 95 yards now on the ground, a whole bunch catching the football.
Got a little trivia. You know, Dorsett's all his quickness and speed, but they have an agility drill that they set up out in training camp where a player runs through a bunch of tires and comes back and so forth. The guy that wins that is not Dorsett. It's a guy named Scott Laidlaw. Thought you might like that. He's a backup man behind Robert Newhouse. Agility.
Dorsett just under 200 yards on the night in offense. 99 receiving, 94 rushing on 1st and 10. Newhouse gets a shot. Flag goes down. I think we're going to have a clip against Dallas.
That's Pearson coming in there. That's one of those questions, one of those new rules they threw in a couple of years ago, which I think is good. They're trying to eliminate that crackback block. But isn't there still a time or what am I trying to say? A space there where you can still get that crackback
tackle to tackle.
There you go. See there, Frank? He was outside the tackle.
Tony Hill cracked back against the Baltimore safety, number 40, Bruce Laird.
I apologize for getting in the rules. I'm sorry.
I thought you were great.
No, I'm not. I just somehow get tongue-tied about them. That's what I said. Wasn't it with Pearson that cracked down?
Personal foul, clipping, number 88, offense.
Pearson.
Yeah, so
Pearson, rather.
Still 1st down.
Well,
here you look at it, John.
He probably didn't mean to, but it was actually a fairly good force that time by Bruce Laird. He let him get a little bit deep, but that wasn't in between the tackles.
Well, that was a close call, too. First down, 18. Ball at the 48-yard line of Baltimore. Roger.
Wow.
Connects with Drew Pearson. This time, Drew had a hands problem in the first half. Holds on down at the 36-yard line. Just 12 of those yards back. Second down at 18. Dallas night thus far. They started slowly. Baltimore had a couple of early breaks. They could have got on the scoreboard. They couldn't capitalize. And it's been Dallas ever since midway in the first quarter. As Tony Dorsett rolls back to the original line of scrimmage, maybe a yard and a half short. It'll be 3rd down and 12.
Well, this could be a propitious moment to talk about next week's game as Dallas appears on the verge of collecting some more. Denver against Minnesota at Bloomington, Minnesota. Denver with a staunch, a stellar defense that created the opportunities for the Broncos to beat Oakland in an opening game yesterday that was critically important despite the early stage of the season. But against Sir Francis, who can scramble, the defense may be hard put. We'll see next Monday night.
Out of the shotgun, and Staubach let too much time go. I believe there'll be a delay of game. Now we got an illegal procedure call, and the clock had run out.
Well, if they don't make it, it'll be an opportunity to see if we were right on that first field goal attempt by Raphael.
Offense.
They had him too close. He'll get one there where he can back up a little bit, get a better look at it. You can get too close to see things, like too close to the forest to see the trees, things like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
3rd down and 18. Andy Frederick, guilty of a false start. Right tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. Again, out of the shotgun. Baltimore trying the blitz. Dallas picks it up, and Drew Pearson should pick up 6. All right. Oh, that's pretty. 38-yard touchdown. Rogers' second of the night.
As I said, they're on the verge of collecting some more.
Boy, if you blitz, you end up in man-to-man coverage. Dwight Harrison, replacing Norm Thompson, is trying to stay with maybe the best wide receiver in football, Drew Pearson. He didn't do it.
I think that was a block by Dorsett, too. That might have been on Barnes, but that ball was also extremely well thrown. Pearson, as you mentioned, Frank, does have him man for man, the old down and in or post pattern, and that ball's right there. Don't break stride, just keep going. And that was Dwight Harrison covering it.
Dallas can't help themselves. They continue to pile it up. Raphael Seption for the conversion. Good. For Dallas with 8:43 remaining in the 3rd quarter, extends their lead to 28-0 over Baltimore. We'll be back in Texas in a moment. Dallas continues to roll. The #1 ranked offensive team last year in the entire NFL, picking up where they left off. Not many changes. Outmead is retired. They're getting good work out of Andy Frederick in that spot. They lead 28-0. Staubach, 38-yard touchdown pass to Drew Pearson. Incidentally, put Drew Pearson over the 4,000-yard career mark. Marshall Johnson from the 3-yard line. Flag is down, and Johnson's down at the 30. And while we wait to see what the flag is all about, we'll pause 5 seconds and allow our local stations all along the line to identify themselves to you. Obviously being assessed against Baltimore.
Holding during the run back, number 71. First down.
Holding by Mike Ozdowski of Baltimore. 1st and 10 for Baltimore. They'll try and get on the scoreboard. Not going to be easy. They've had difficulty moving the ball at all evening. 1st and 10 from their own 16. Setbacks Ron Lee 34. 48 Roosevelt leaks. Play action fake. Kirkland gets it off to Dowdy on the flanker screen. Benny Barnes corrals Dowdy at the 25-yard line, short of the first down by about a yard.
He threw that one under Big Too Tall's arms, didn't he?
Well, you can see how Marcia Broda feels. He was just kidding himself, not the fans of Baltimore, and not us. At the very beginning of the telecast, Bert Jones right next to him must be thinking, at the very least, I could have moved the ball club and it would have been a representative game, but it's not. It's the anticipated route that we spoke of again and again in the first half.
You know, Howard, he did get a break yesterday with New England going down and Miami going down. Let's face it, he's going to have to get Bert Jones back in action. And he still is going to miss Lydell Mitchell. The handoff, Ron Lee. Close to the first down.
I don't really think, it'd be hard for Bert Jones or anybody else to do too much more tonight. They've got some other holes in there, too. Bert, I guess, is their accepted quarterback and maybe a psychological letdown, but I haven't seen many places that anybody could do much more. He just, well, you know what I mean.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't think anybody's going to do much against him right here. Now, Baltimore's got to plug up some more holes. Bert's a heck of a nice guy and can throw well. Not left-handed, and that right one's the one that's hurt, so he'll have to get it fixed.
They got the first down. Kirkland.
There it is, right on the money.
Firing into the hands of number 81, Roger Carr. Complete his first reception of the night.
That's the key point, Frank. His first reception of the night. I think he's physically well now. He had a knee And he had had knee surgery in Cotton Valley, as you watch Roger Carr. Cotton Valley isn't the place where you normally have knee surgery. You normally go to one of the great city hospitals and go to the great orthopedic surgeons, but not in this case.
Kirkman now for 1st and 10. Ron Lee, right side, gets a couple of his 2nd and 8 hit there and upended by Charlie Waters.
I have nothing against surgery in Cotton Valley, which is where Roger lives, but in point of fact, his recovery was rather delayed.
As he injured that knee last year.
Yeah.
Suffered through really a tough season, at least for Roger Carr. Don mentioned he had a great year in '76. He did. 43 receptions, 11 touchdowns.
He's a great player.
2nd down and 8. Kirkland goes for Carr and hits Aaron Kyle beautifully.
He just ran a better route. I tell you, Aaron Kyle, we got somebody who's having some problems. D.D. Lewis and Ron Lee seem to be going at it. They got an official there in the middle of it.
Well, they're indicating that Ron Lee leave the field.
It appears that Lee was ordered off the field.
That was Tunney in the middle of them there, isn't it?
Jim Tunney hopped right in there.
Well, I'll tell you this, it was not Arthur McCann. But no, is that in any way meant as a promotion for September 15th when you'll be seeing Ali against Spinks on ABC?
Certainly was not.
Although, who knows?
Let's see what happened here. All
Look
right.
at that.
D.D. came in from his outside. He missed the first shot. And really just hold this stuff off. D.D. will take a whick at you, I'll tell you.
D.D. did take the first way. Do you see that right get in there?
I see how Tunney got in it, too. He couldn't get out of it.
I'd say that's not too smart to have a fight right there in front of him, wasn't an official in the middle of you.
1st and 10. Dallas. Football, their own 29-yard line. They lead 28-0.
Interesting that Lee led with a right.
Why?
Because that's a dangerous blow against an orthodox fighter. It takes longer for the punch to reach the head of the other fighter who can respond with an answering left and get in more.
Now I understand. Wait a minute. All right, look at
Dorsett.
I think I'll go this way.
Versus the field, having collided with his guard, pulling guard, Herbert Scott, number 68. Loses a yard and a half, and another Baltimore Colt is down.
Oh, that's too bad. That's Doug Nettles over there. They really are getting themselves beat up, aren't they?
They really are. Just to finish your lesson in boxing, the right lead was popularized by Muhammad Ali in his prime. And he got away with it because of his tremendous speed. Now many young fighters like to use it, like Sugar Ray Leonard. We'll be right back.
Doug Nettles, the shaken-up Baltimore Colt, has left the field under his own power. Appeared to just have the wind knocked from him. They've also been informed that D.D. Lewis of the Cowboys and Ron Lee of the Colts have both been ejected from the game for fighting. 2nd down and 12 for Dallas. Ball on their own 27-yard line. Back. Dumps it to Dorsett. And Dorsett is on his way again. Sanders Shriver had a shot at him for a loss, and Dorsett just shook him off like he wasn't even there.
He almost looked like he just misaimed at him. He aimed where he thought he would be, and maybe most folks would have, but Tony can just accelerate so quickly, he was behind him.
Well, he wasn't even looking at Shriver, and he gave him a move, and Shriver missed. And another player is down. This time it's a Cowboy. That's Burton Lawless. Dorsett short of the first down by about 3-4 yards.
The last graphic we showed, I think, expresses the total dominance by Dallas. The last 4 times they've had the ball, they've scored 4 touchdowns. 28-0.
And Dorsett putting on quite a show for national television. 107 yards receiving, 96 yards rushing on 8 receptions. 5:11 remaining in the third quarter. It's all Dallas thus far, and we'll be returning to Texas right after this. Burton Lawless, left guard and messenger man for Tom Landry tonight, is all right. Like Nettles a moment ago, Doug Nettles of Baltimore apparently just had the wind knocked from him. And Roger Staubach drops into the shotgun. 3rd down and 3. The ball at the 35-yard line. And Preston Pearson, as he always does, is in there on the passing situation. He's number 26. There he is.
Oh, what a move. What a move.
Whoops. Lost something. Found it at the 46 for a Dallas first down.
Now, Don, you know what Pearson's in there for. Frank called it in advance. Why isn't there better coverage of him?
Well, they got so many others that can do the same thing, but he just happens to be the one that's been open as well as designed there. It's awful hard to cover. They're just, Roger again had good protection, so you start right there. Pearson's got that instinctive, or just had the instincts to know where these people are, and he does have a way of getting open. We were talking here while on the commercial. Danny White played some in the preseason. If Dallas has a weakness, I think it's the possibility that Roger Staubach could get hurt this year.
So they should be playing Danny.
Well, I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying when you look at their strengths, we've talked about, that it's pretty hard to find the weaknesses. Roger is 36 years old, and he is in good shape and all that sort of jazz, and he's having a good night. They want him to play a lot in preseason because the preseason was shorter. Danny White, I think, could be a real key to the overall success of the season, along with second-year Glenn Carano, another quarterback out of University.
They're high on him, too. Very high. But you make a good point. I think we'll see White if Dallas starts again.
Illegal procedure. It was first down and 15. Dorsett. Oh, watch out.
Gosh, how can he do that? How does he know?
He could do it.
How does he know?
Doug Nettles will try and catch him.
He got him.
And he does, but not until Dorsett rambles all the way down to the 8-yard line. And you're looking at a very special football player.
You really are.
There's no question about that. Everything he did at the intercollegiate level, he is proving he can do at the professional level.
But we go against a grain right here.
That's it, Frank. He's not designed there, and that's from there on is Tony Dorsett. Now, from about that first 5 or 6 yards, it was a whole team thing. Boy, to have a guy like this on your side just really makes all the difference. Keep him healthy.
Johnny Majors, if you're watching tonight, what you have wrought with that young man.
He wrought a whole lot for Johnny Majors.
Yeah, he sure did.
51-yard pickup, and he continues to pile up the statistics. They're almost incredible at this point. First and goal, the ball at the 8-yard line. He's got 254 yards of offense as we look at Doug Dennison giving Dorsett a little bit of relief. 147 yards rushing on 15 attempts. 3 receptions, 107 yards, 1 touchdown. This little man.
And a partridge in the pear tree. That's not bad.
He could produce that before the night's over. Second and goal, the ball at the 2-yard line. Well, you may not like the score if you're still with us, but we hope you are. But you're watching some rather incredible individual performances tonight, mainly by number 33, Tony Dorsett. Dennison battles over the right side. Mike Barnes, with a lot of help from his friends, puts the brakes on as Dennison gets to the 1. It'll be 3rd and goal.
16-game season. Let's assume the average is 150 yards per game.
All right.
That's 2,400 yards or thereabouts. Right?
Yeah, that's somewhere close. I'll take your word for it.
What does he do? Get a record with an asterisk next to his name, a la Roger Maris?
No. They've already settled that. They've said that, it's whatever goes, it goes.
Well, Jim Brown did his in 12-game seasons. The 3 setbacks are in there. Alois Blackwell, a rookie from Houston, is in there. Gets the call. No, Roger hit the ball and dumps it off.
Oh, that's nice.
Jay Saldi, the tight end. Staubach. Nifty piece of work. Put it into Alois Blackwell. Pulled it out. Saldi all alone in the end zone. Dallas touchdown.
That was nice. Well executed. Again, very difficult to defend against. A lot of pressure on that defense. Good fake by Roger. Slight roll. He could have walked that one in. Being a good quarterback that he is, let's get another.
About all that's left of this game, Don, is to see if we have the most lopsided score in the history of Monday Night Football.
Seption. helps out that effort. Adding one more, the Cowboys lead 35-0.
We're getting close. There was a night down here in Texas when the Cowboys played St. Louis. The Cowboys had been favored. St. Louis won it 38-0.
I still don't believe that.
It was a memorable night because of the discomfiture in the booth of Mr. Meredith. But now there is only pride in his former teammates, as it's clear the prestige, the tradition he left behind him has finally been captured by the current team.
They've really done a lot with what I left them, didn't they? These guys just took off. Did a good job. They still haven't finished this stadium. Look at there.
The Cowgirls performing. And they have set off a trend in the National Football League that swept around the entire league. Only a few teams don't have cheerleaders anymore.
With a little sex and violence, boy, you sell it.
50 on to kick off.
Mr. Meredith with a pungent comment.
I didn't say that, did I?
Yes, you did.
Oh, okay.
It'll be Marshall Johnson at the 7-yard line. Johnson has had some nifty returns, gets out to the 31-yard line once again. Marshall Johnson, third-year back, played his college football over in Houston. So Don McCauley comes in along with Roosevelt Leaks, and Mike Kirkland remains the quarterback. Ron Lee, of course, number 34, ejected from the game, as was D.D. Lewis of the Cowboys. 2:40 remaining in the third quarter. Guy Brown, now number 59, in defensively in place of D.D. Lewis for Dallas. Roosevelt Leaks. Leaks out of the 35 to the 36-yard line. A gain of 5. It'll be 2nd and 5. And Danny White, the backup quarterback, is warming up on the sidelines for Dallas.
Which, of course, is exactly the thing to do. Tom Landry knew it long before we did. He's going to protect Roger the Dodger.
I think he knows what he's doing. Al McCauley had a pretty good block that time on Henderson, little Thomas Henderson. He laid him back. Picked up about a 5-yard one.
Mike Kirkland having quite a baptism tonight. His first pro football game. Hands off to McCauley. McCauley finds a big hole, gets the first down, and goes out to the 46-yard line.
This game has to hurt the people of Baltimore very much. Through the long years of contemporary professional football history, except for a year or two here and there, the Colts have symbolized football excellence. The great teams of Weeb Eubank, the victory in the sudden death game over Frank's Giants, the victory the following year, the victory in the Super Bowl in '71, the last 3 years, and suddenly to come upon this, it has to hurt.
1st and 10 for Baltimore. Kirkland and open, and Roger Carney doesn't hold on. Incomplete. It's not working out well for Kirkland when he does perform.
That ball was well thrown. Aaron Kyle was a defensive back in there. Again, there's Cliff Harris. Aaron Kyle is one of the really best athletes that Dallas has ever drafted, according to their draft system. And he's playing in there right now.
Interesting that you say that, because there you see Aaron Kyle doing what he does best. When Gil Brandt drafted Aaron Kyle, number 1, there was much behind-the-scenes criticism of him around the league. But few, if any, defensive backs hit harder than Aaron Kyle. His coverage may not be the best, but he hits.
Trivia, Staubach has tied his own club record, 11 straight completions. 4 of the last 9 have been for touchdowns. For Baltimore, this is McCauley. Line of scrimmage, a little more. It'll be 2nd down and 9. Or the 3rd down and 9. Mike Kirkland doing all the way. They anticipated that. Bill Troop was also injured in last week's game, where Bert Jones had the incomplete separation of his right shoulder. Bill Troop has a bruised shoulder, could hand off, possibly, if he were needed. But it's Mike Kirkland all the way for Baltimore. 3rd and 10, and another ball. McCauley drops it again.
Yeah, Mike said, wait a minute, guys, I'm just now getting warmed up. I'll give me a little help. HEP help.
Fourth down, and David Lee will trot out. And Mike Kirkland is wondering what he has to do.
Once again, the statistics are self-revealing.
David Lee will punt deep for Dallas at his 12-yard line. Butch Johnson. Johnson will get an opportunity. Lee off the side of his foot. He wanted to go out of bounds and didn't get it. Johnson back out to the 33-yard line. Corralled there by Darrell Luce. 24 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Lopsided game, yes. Great individual performances, no question about it. Tony Dorsett putting on quite a show as Roger Staubach retires for the evening. Out comes Danny White, originally drafted back in '74, third-round pick out of Arizona State. Played for Memphis in the WFL. Dorsett sits down. He'll get a rest. He should be exhausted just from running tonight. There it is. 254 yards of offense. Colton Richards is in, wide receiver, number 83. 86, Butch Johnson is in, wide receiver for Dallas. This is Dennison, right side. And they have got the horses.
They didn't slow down a lot back there. They got Scott Laidlaw at fullback, and Frank, I see Rayfield Wright's in at tackle.
Rayfield Wright, of course, trying to come back from knee surgery over a year ago. Seconds ticking away. And that is the end of the third quarter as we look at the blocking over the right side.
That's big Rayfield, number 70. You see blocking on Cook.
You're watching another exclusive of ABC Sports. That is the end of the third quarter with the score Dallas 35, Baltimore nothing. We'll be back with the fourth quarter in just a moment. Now for Dallas 35, Scott Laidlaw. He's a Stanford boy. Doug Dennison from Touchdown State is in at 21. Wide receivers are Richardson, Butch Johnson, the other one, number 86, Richardson, 83, and of course the quarterback, number 11, Danny White. Handoff, Scott Laidlaw. Laidlaw squeezes out the first down out to about the 49-yard line.
We've got some baseball scores. Quickly, let's look at them. That game doesn't matter to the pennant race. That does. The Yanks won the first of 2, 9-1, lost the second 5-4, but all right, Seattle beat Milwaukee in the first. Milwaukee beat Seattle in the second. Boston lost to Baltimore, so the Yankees now trail the Red Sox by 5 games. They meet the 3 games later in the week in Fenway Park. So that's becoming a pennant race. Cleveland-Toronto game of no import.
First and 10. The ball at the 44-yard line of Dallas. White, inside handoff. Doug Dennison turns the right side and gets out to the 46-yard line, a gain of 2. It'll be second down and 8.
That fellow's a squirmer, the man from Touchdown State. You get in close, you notice. Landry goes to Dennison to put the ball across.
Another free agent came up, 75. Had a big year in 76 when a lot of injuries hit the Dallas second offensive backs. He had 540 yards that year. Second and 8.
There he goes again.
Dennison. Very close to a first down out to the 46-yard line. Sanders Schreiber made the initial hit for Baltimore.
If you're wondering about the National League pennant races, quickly, let's get you abreast on those. Bucks won the first of 2, 7-4 over the Mets. Bucks won the second, 7-0 over the Mets. Bucks have gone crazy. Cards beat the Phils in the first of 2, but the Phils beat the Cards in the second. The Phils now lead the Bucks by only 1 game. Montreal beat Chicago in the first of 2. Montreal made it a twin victory. That deepens Chicago's troubles as we go past the Crossroads Day Labor Day. Cincinnati over Houston in the 9th. And right there, you see a very, very big one. That's a final. The Dodgers beat the Giants 5-4.
And Danny White carries it himself for the Dallas first down.
So for you baseball fans who are also football fans, the Dodgers lead the Giants by 2.
Multiple changes. As we mentioned, Dallas will play the Giants next week. They play, of course, all the members of their Eastern Division of the NFC twice. They'll also play Los Angeles as
Some old stick-em stuff. That old gooey
explain the shot. That's the stick-em they wear.
Yeah.
Doubt he wears a lot of it. I'll give you the rest of that Dallas schedule in a moment. First and 10. Ball of Baltimore's 45. Dennison getting a workout tonight. It's to the 41. Gain of 4. It'll be second down and 6. And they also play the Rams. They'll play them in 2 weeks. They'll play Miami on Thursday, October the 26th. We'll be here for that one. Or rather, put Minnesota for that one. They play Miami, Green Bay, New Orleans, New England, and the Jets. The Ring of Fame, I think they call it, don't they, Don? There's 4 Cowboys up there. Don Perkins, Bob Lilly, Chuck Howley, and Don himself.
Ring of Honor. That's it.
Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor. Yeah, you fall into it. That is nice.
Second and 6. Screen to the flanker. Golden Richards. Rayfield right in front of it. Didn't get the block, and Darrell Luce in there to make the stop. Number 58 for Baltimore. And there's that ring we were speaking of a moment ago.
Oh, how many key interceptions Chuck Howley made.
And how about that guy right there?
Lilly, he was a team by himself.
There's my man.
They call him a legend. What was his quote?
Who, Lilly?
Yeah.
I don't know. Perkins was Perk, can you go? And he'd say,
The quote that applied to Lilly was really the quote of the opposition. I can't get started with you.
Oh, boy.
Third down, a long 3. The ball just inside the 40-yard line. Laidlaw.
They can run off of this.
This is Preston Pearson.
And look at that interference out there.
Oops. Flag is down. Pearson is down at the 30, has the first down, but a flag is down.
Looks like Herbert Scott's slow getting up, too, Frank.
I think the call will be against Herbert Scott.
They call it off. Those were tough days, Don, when you started out with these Cowboys. It's
great, to swap those old lies now, Frank, because it does get tougher and, as the time goes on. But it really was fun, too. I think to be a part of the whole organization from the beginning was a lot of fun. Because we had some real characters down here.
Holding, and we are having a little bit of a problem with Jim Tunney's radio mic.
May have gone out since he turned boxing referee.
Cowboys back up to Baltimore's 49-yard line. For its third down and 9. Up goes Richardson. Right, Butch Johnson. Anyway, drops into the shotgun. Screen again to Pearson.
Oh, boy, Joe Irvin almost got out there, but just one step behind him, couldn't quite make it.
First down, Dallas.
That's amazing, isn't it? Just keep rolling right along. I'd like to draw to that pair, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's not bad, is it? Don was making a point about Ermal Allen as we look at this in replay.
Little quick screen pass. Howard is just a flip out again to Pearson there, and that's the guy you've been talking about with his elusive moves, and he does have them. Kind of glides along.
As the statistics man, by the way, Preston Pearson started with Baltimore.
That's right.
Then he was traded to Pittsburgh, and then he became the lone, at that time, non-homegrown member of the Cowboys.
First and 10. Ball goes to Dennison.
Didn't quite make it.
Darrell Luce in there on the stop for Baltimore. Actually, Preston Pearson led the league in kickoff returns when he came up with Baltimore.
Dallas was trying to hide a quarterback. It's either Jim Zorn or Steve DeBerg. I forget which one it was. And they came down the last cut. They got an offensive back hurt. It was Steve DeBerg. That's now out at San Francisco. They really wanted to keep him. They felt that they had to take a chance. Maybe no one would pick DeBerg up. And they got Pearson, and DeBerg is now starting quarterback at San Francisco.
It all works out.
Yeah. It doesn't, it ought to.
Second and 10. Dennison on the draw, big hole, and look at him move. Another first down, or very close to a first down at the 25-yard line.
You mentioned DeBerg. He looked excellent in a preseason game in Denver a week ago Friday night. Very impressive. After that performance, they dropped Plunkett. excuse me, but let's face it, preseason games mean absolutely nothing.
I think they may have had a little more importance when they don't have as many of them, but I think as far as the result of whether you win or lose, it's not quite that important, but it really is a great training ground to see what you guys can do.
Third down, Dennison just short of the first down. Laidlaw gets the call, and he has upset the ball. Bobbles loose, but quickly recovered there.
That one was read fairly well, wasn't it? No place to go.
Sure was.
Oh, closed in there, loose. Filling in behind Fred Cook and Mike Barnes. And so Dallas will try it out. Raphael Seption. Now let's take a look again.
That's Butch Johnson, and Bruce Laird had that inside position and just carried him right in there. That was also Jay Saldi, number 87, trying to block in there, too. They just crushed that one down. Raphael, here's your shot, boy.
He was 16 of 18 for the Rams from inside the 40 a year ago. This one will be from 40 yards out. 45, was it? Whoops. He hooked it a little bit left. Plenty of distance.
Whatever the distance, Raphael is having trouble tonight. Hi, Tony. You gave us a good show, kid. We'll be right back.
Yes, he's had some. Tony Dorsett, if he joined us late, 254 yards of offense, 107 receiving, 147 rushing. Just a remarkable athlete. Roger Staubach left the game 16 of 22, 280 yards, 4 TDs. Right now, Baltimore has a 1st and 10, the ball at their own 27. Mike Kirkland dumps it out to the number 1 draft pick, Reese McCall from Auburn.
If you look at the Baltimore roster, apparently there are only 2 rookies on it. Reese McCall of Auburn, the number 1 draft choice. Mike Woods, linebacker from the University of Cincinnati, number 2 choice. But in reality, there are 6 first-year men on that squad because 4 draft choices of a year ago who were out for the season are now on the roster, including Randy Burt, the wide receiver, who was the number 1 draft choice of a year ago.
McCall got 7, his 2nd down and 3. Ball at the 34-yard line. This is McCauley. McCauley short of the 1st down out to the 36-yard line. Bob Bruning made the stop.
If you want the test of a professional, or of a professional, it's when a man keeps going in the face of a 35-0 score. McCauley is a professional. There's no letdown in it.
I said something earlier I'll correct about McCauley. He is a senior, broke O.J. Simpson's single-season rushing record out of North Carolina. 1,720 yards, and they play some pretty heavy football in that conference. 3rd and 1. This is McCauley. Gets the 1st down. Out around the 38-yard line.
I make a point, Frank. You were discussing Dallas's schedule earlier. There's a very, very excellent 78 schedule analysis in a book called The Pro Football Predictor. And it sets forth the relative difficulty of every team's schedule in the league. Dallas does not have a difficult schedule based upon the strength of the opponents whom they have to face as the opponents played a year ago. Their difficulty is measured at .491. Baltimore's difficulty of schedule is at .513.
On 1st and 10. Kirkland. This will go into the hands of Cliff Harris. Harris immediately dropped. Glenn Dowdy, the intended receiver, the ball wobbling, thrown short, and Harris was right there playing center field, perhaps as good as anyone in football today.
He's an all-pro, has been through the years. It's safe to say as good as anyone in football today. And so it's still 35-0. Dallas will be right back.
We're back in Irving. Frank Gifford, Howard Cosell, Don Meredith. We hope you're still with us. Lopsided football game. The Cowboys over the Colts 35-0. Some really wild play, individual play on the part of some of the Cowboys tonight. Colts, of course, trying to play without quarterback Burt Jones. Their offensive machine, Lydell Mitchell, is gone to San Diego. They've had their problems. Scott Laidlaw for the Cowboys. Over the left side, gets a yard. It'll be 2nd down and 9.
Yeah.
Hi there.
That's what it's like up here.
Hi there. Yeah, that's good. Yes, that's good. We're all up here. We're working. We're working. I'm at the office. I just noticed that they've moved Andy Frederick over to the offensive left tackle when they brought in Rayfield Wright for the old right tackle position. So they're still giving him a little bit more work, Frederick, as much as they can, because he's the newest member of that offensive line. It's a great kind of game for Dallas to open with, to be able to use so many players for a lot of reasons, but primarily they did have that short preseason that we talked about, so they've been able to play just about as many people as they would have in a regular preseason game.
Irma Allen said, frankly, he didn't see a weakness on this Dallas team. Well, we'll pick up with that after Frank calls the play.
Second down, 9. Ehrman coming off on his own power. Appears to be all right. Very warm night as Dennison gets the call, gets a couple of yards. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
Back in 1972, the Miami Dolphins, with that extraordinary team put together by Don Shula, the so-called no-name defense team, went unbeaten. And many people conjectured at that time, as Miami was building the streak, that it couldn't be done. Then many people said, okay, he pulled a miracle. It'll never be done again. I know this is the first game of the season. I know Baltimore is a team riddled by injuries, departures, and all the rest. But such is the strength of Dallas that we may conjure with the notion again of an unbeaten team.
3rd and 7. Dallas at their own 28. Danny White drops into the shotgun. Going out over the left side to Butch Johnson. He has it for the 1st down. Butch Johnson, along with Golden Richards, will see a lot less action this year because of the play of a sensational second-year man out of Stanford, Tony Hill. And this is a good athlete you're looking at right here.
He is a great athlete.
Now, that ball was well thrown, too. I'm just trying to check old White out there. The ball was right on the money. A deep sideline pattern. Picked up the 1st down. But you're right about Butch Johnson. He does a lot of things well. It's great to have that athlete that does the kick returns to come in. He's an extra man. And
so is that guy.
Oh, boy, he is something else.
Danny White had 10 attempts last year. Roger Staubach healthy, going most of the way. To Dennison, and look at Dennison. That's the kind of players they have on the bench. Down to the 35-yard line. 1st down, Dallas. Herb Orvis, acquired from Detroit by Baltimore, number 88, over there to make the stop.
That's another thing. As you watch Doug Dennison, and Frank said it all when he said that's the kind of players they got on the bench. Look at him.
That's a Laidlaw, number 35, that actually bounced him out.
They traded Raymond Chester for Mike Sianik, who had foot surgery, who had been a decent receiver with Oakland. But to trade Raymond Chester, Freddie Scott was traded to Detroit for Herb Orvis. Freddie Scott's a fine wide receiver out of Amherst, getting his medical degree at Johns Hopkins.
Quick down on 1st and 10, and it goes to Scott Laidlaw. He tries the middle, gets 3 yards. It'll be 2nd and 7.
The Scott trade was far more understandable, Frank, because Herb Orvis is a proven player, a past #1 draft choice for Detroit. He was out of favor in Detroit. He was an open recalcitrant. But he shores up the defensive line, gives them adequate reserve strength for Baltimore.
What position is that? Recalcitrant.
Recalcitrant. Not a bad word.
It's a good one. I just wouldn't know if that's weak side or strong side, recalcitrant.
He was not truculent. He was recalcitrant.
2nd and 6.
Wow.
Scott Laidlaw gets a little exercise and moves down around the 30-yard line. Gain of 2. It'll be 3rd down and call it 4.
A big night in Irving here, hasn't it?
Scott Laidlaw, another Stanford product. His 4th year. Had a big year, as did Dennison in 74. Well, the 76, 424 yards. White on 3rd down, long 4. Oh, and Doug Nettles almost came up with the interception intended for Preston Pearson.
It's a nice sign on the scoreboard. Happy anniversary, Marianne and Roger Staubach. Today is their 13th anniversary, and there is the sign.
That's nice.
It is.
She's a nice lady, and so is Roger. Well, not Roger's a nice lady, but they're both very nice people.
Well, the only thing we've got going for us now is the fact that Don Meredith's record still stands. The last losing opening day quarterback for Dallas.
48-yard field goal attempt. Rafael Septian I don't believe it's to rub it in. It's just to test out this young man, see how good he is. They just got him on Wednesday.
Well, that's it. All right. Now we got it.
That ties the old St. Louis-Dallas score at 38-0. So we are approaching the end of a not august evening. We'll be right back.
Rafael Septian hits them 48 yards out to make it 38-0. Reminding you again, we will have Denver and Minnesota coming your way next Monday night. Bloomington, Minnesota. Marshall Johnson deep for Baltimore. He's given us a couple of thrills tonight. Takes it in the end zone. He'll bring it out.
Yeah, there's another one.
Well, I like the way he runs it back. And Marshall Johnson this time out to the 40-yard line. Benny Barnes, captain of the special teams. Well, I guess he isn't anymore for Dallas. He's starting left cornerback. Jay Salty, the captain of the special teams. But that was Benny Barnes that corralled Marshall Johnson.
Johnson has given Baltimore virtually its only decent field position tonight with his run backs.
1st and 10. The ball at the 42-yard line. Baltimore still trying to get the goose egg off the scoreboard. Don McCauley, Roosevelt Leaks remain the setbacks. Randy Burke now comes in as one offensive receiver, but this is Roosevelt Leaks. And the big man who played great football at the University of Texas rolls for 7 yards. It'll be 2nd and 3.
As we approach the 2-minute warning in this contest, might be propitious to ruminate about what happened in the NFL yesterday. What with the abundance of injuries, we may be seeing a shift in the balance of power in the league. Though one game does not a season make and finite judgments cannot be drawn. Right there is the 2-minute warning. What happened to Minnesota, what happened in all those upsets, leads one to at least conjure with the notion. We'll be right back.
Mike Kirkland all the way for Baltimore tonight. Of course, we've told you over and over, Bert Jones out with a shoulder. Bill Troop, his backup is out. So Mike Kirkland, who had never played a moment of NFL regular season football, was the starter tonight. Don Hardiman comes in, sent back number 36 for Baltimore. And there with Don McCauley, number 23. This is Hardiman.
Yes, sir.
He gets the first down, it does appear, at the 42-yard line. Acquired, as I said earlier, from Tampa. And he came to Tampa in a trade with Anthony Davis from Houston.
Well, this game's not over yet.
Hardiman was a first-round draft choice originally by Houston. He had one 600-yard season, and after that, very little, if anything. Tonight we've seen the second largest total yard story in Dallas history. They have 580. They're 52. Having the ball.
1st and 10. Baltimore at Dallas's 42-yard line. Kirkland in a peck of trouble. It's out of it. It's complete down at the 35-yard line.
Mike Kirkland can throw a ball. I'm telling you, he's pretty good.
Don Hardiman.
It's not over yet. Anything can happen in a game of football, man. I'm telling you, not over the last.
By the way, when Dallas gained 652 yards,
A tip out to Marshall Johnson, incomplete.
What'd you
Stops
say?
the clock with 59 seconds remaining in the
I was
game.
about to tell it like it was.
Well, tell me what it was.
When Dallas gained 652 yards, the quarterback was the angular youngster from SMU named Meredith.
When did that happen? What game was that? I really don't know.
It happened against the Eagles.
We gained 600.
Turn around and blush there.
It happened against the Eagles.
Shit. Wait, how much was it?
1966 against the Eagles.
I only played 3 quarters. Really hot.
2nd down and 10. Baltimore trying to get the goose egg off the scoreboard.
He's got man wide open.
Wide open. It's
Yes,
the
sir.
big tight end.
This game, there he goes.
Reese McCall. Like you said, anything can happen.
Oh, he fumbled. It's covered by Dallas. Touchback. Didn't score after all.
I don't believe it.
Anything can happen. Yes, sir.
For Mike Kirkland.
In the carriage of that young man, Mike Kirkland.
That is right.
Reese McCall, the number 1 draft pick out of Auburn, put on a good show, got open, got to the goal line. Lost it just before he crossed into the end zone, or it would have been the touchdown. Let's watch again.
Takes a while for these young guys to catch on to everything. He's got part of it down. You catch it, you run over that line, but the rest of it is that Mike Hegman that came in there? Who was that?
Mike Hegman.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you, That's really close, because all he has to do is break that plane to the goal line. It's 6.
Well, he was hit first by 57. Southern. He didn't help him a bit.
And here's a guy, Bruce Hutter, we haven't even talked about, another linebacker. And again, he's a good one.
47 seconds remaining. Quick handoff, Scott Laidlaw. It's a couple of yards up the middle. Again, reminding you that next Monday night, the Denver Broncos, winners over Oakland yesterday, go against the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota getting in early trouble, losing to New Orleans yesterday.
Hawkinson's going to be counting those Denver linebackers. Sometimes you think they've got 20 of them out there. Gradishaw, Tom Jackson, Rizzo, Swenson, they're everywhere.
And, of course, next Saturday, college football, UCLA against Washington. UCLA, of course, tied for second in the Pac-8 last year. They have a good football team this year. That's Saturday, NCAA college football. And out comes Scott Laidlaw. Should tip off the final seconds, and Dallas will have a convincing win. And Tony Dorsett had an absolutely scintillating night. And Tom Landry wins his 13th consecutive season opener. We'll be right back. Once again, from Texas Stadium, the final score.